From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fairbanks Evening News.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. The second suspect involved in the February shooting at Wedgwood Manor will receive 7 years jail time.
That's right, Daryl. As part of a plea deal, 21-year-old Isaiah Cross was sentenced this afternoon in Fairbanks Superior Court. Cross and his co-defendant, Chester Fields, both pleaded down to a single count of first-degree robbery. The shooting occurred when the two forced their way into the hotel, where they reportedly used multiple guns. Now, a blood trail led police to a trailblazer where Cross hid after being shot multiple times. Family members of Cross spoke out in favor of the plea agreement this afternoon.
They're not a bad young man. He just made some rather unfortunate decisions for himself. But he does have a young son that he needs to be able to get out and help parents.
Not guilty pleas for a Fairbanks man in jail after allegedly leading Alaska State Troopers on a pursuit in a stolen vehicle. 33-year-old Robert Strickland is charged with vehicle theft in the first degree and failure to stop at the direction of a police officer. Strickland was reportedly spotted in a stolen vehicle on Sheena Pump Road, and when troopers attempted to pull him over, he fled into the woods. He was found shortly after in the wooded area and taken to Fairbanks Memorial Hospital. Strickland was released to authorities and placed under arrest. Trial for his case is set for October.
After allegedly threatening a campground worker with a gun, one man is now charged with felony assault. 34-year-old Thomas Nespor was charged with threatening the hostess at the Tanana Valley State Fair campground and RV park when she attempted to collect his fees for using the site. Court records say Nespor threw water at the woman and raised his fist to get her to leave. When she returned with a baseball bat, Nespor reportedly pulled out a handgun and out of a duffel bag and cocked it and then pointed it straight at her. Troopers arrested Nespor at the campground after witnesses confirmed the allegations. A hearing for his case is set for September.
A former Alaskan and her husband have pleaded guilty to murder charges in New York for fatally stabbing a man they met online. 19-year-old Miranda Barber was charged in the death of a 42-year-old Pennsylvania man last November. She and her husband, Elliot Barber, contacted the man on Craigslist with an offer of sex. In exchange for pleading guilty to second-degree murder and aggravated assault, the Barbers face life in prison instead of a possible death penalty. Miranda Barber claimed to have been a member of a satanic cult, but Alaska State Troopers found no evidence to support her claims of killing over 20 people.
A former Marine has pleaded not guilty to killing the pregnant wife of another Marine. 24-year-old Christopher Lee entered the plea yesterday to first-degree murder. Lee was arrested in Alaska on August 17th after the body of 19-year-old Aaron Corwin was found in a mine shaft in the Mojave Desert. Prosecutors say that Corwin and the married Lee were lovers. Her husband, Corporal Jonathan Corwin, and Lee were both stationed at the 29 Palms Marine Base.
The school district and city of Fairbanks entered into a partnership today that provides high school students a chance to explore potential careers while still in school. Fairbanks North Star Borough School District Superintendent Karen Gaborik and Fairbanks Mayor John Eberhardt signed an agreement to formalize a work-based learning program this afternoon. The program gives area high school students work opportunities in certain city departments. Gaborik said getting students out of the classroom can be a vital facet of the educational process.
District perspective, it really is that hands-on experience. I mean, you can learn about public safety. You can only learn so much in the classroom. It's the experience and actually being over at the city and seeing how government functions and how these different departments function. I mean, that's just huge. You can't buy that kind of experience. Kids can actually be in the office and be with people in those jobs, and then make decisions hopefully about the future, what they want to do or don't want to do.
When we come back, we have your weekly military report.
And another look at what's happening at Pioneer Park. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Fairbanks Evening News. This week we'll wrap up our summer feature at Pioneer Park and let you know what they have going on this Labor Day.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of What's Happening at Pioneer Park with me, Stephanie Woodard. Now the season is getting ready to come to a close as Labor Day approaches, but that's not the end for Pioneer Park. Now this Monday, Pioneer Park will have their annual Labor Day celebration. Beginning at noon, there will be tons of music and opportunities for you to bring out your family, including Kit Carson and even Eelhouse. So make sure to come on down and check that out. But before we go, let's make sure to check out some of the things that we did this season to recap some of the fun times we had here inside the park. One of my favorite things to do each year is ride on the train around Pioneer Park. That's what we did this year with Jason Avery, park manager. And who doesn't like Friends of the Tanana Valley Railroad Station? We got to check in with them and see some of the cool things they have, including their steam train. And of course, the staple piece you see when you walk inside the park, the riverboat in Nana. We got to go inside there and see some of the neat history contained. It's always great to walk around Gold Rush Town and see some of the history. We were able to go inside the Wickersham House and talk about the Kitty Hensley House among all the other museums. It's always great to check in with our military here at Pioneer Park, and each 4th of July they hold their great celebration. We were there to talk to them. And Saturday anchor Katie Looper and I got to test out the waters at Alaska Outdoor Rentals in their kayak. Hey, I even got to ride it on a bike. We talked about the Bear Gallery in the Fairbanks Arts Association building inside of Pioneer Park, looking at some of the artists and things that they offer. That stays open throughout the year. A huge event that we always cover each year inside Pioneer Park is the Midnight Sun Run. That brings in over 3,000 runners, and this year we were there to check it out. I always have so much fun exploring Pioneer Park with everybody throughout the summer, but don't think just because the summer is over that Pioneer Park is closed. It's open all throughout the winter with availability to book some parties and rent some spaces, and even stay inside the Bear Gallery and see some really neat art showcases with the Fairbanks Arts Association. So thanks so much for joining us throughout the summer on every Wednesday. That's what was happening this year at Pioneer Park. Marines and sailors with the 1st Reconnaissance Battalion from California completed a 12-day deployment to Fort Greely this month, where they supported elements of the Red Flag exercises. Monty Bowen has details in this week's military report.
The Marines and sailors came to Alaska to work on skills they practice regularly at Camp Pendleton, but this time they practice wilderness survival in the Alaska wilderness.
A lot of people have this false perspective that because we're Marines that we know how to, survive out here in the wilderness, which, might not be the case. You do have, guys who come from the country, grew up living in the woods, hunting, fishing, and yeah, they're pretty good out here. And then you got city boys who've never seen a tree until they went into the Marine Corps, and just not know how to do that. And about half the platoon, we taught them how to fish, we taught them how to clean an animal, and how to cook it properly. All those are essential in surviving and ensure you don't get sick and ultimately die from the wilderness.
They inserted teams into different training areas.
Gave them the guidance and guidelines to build, construct shelter, capture game, build a fire, utilizing just their kit.
The training helped them refine the list of things they need to have.
Refine our SOPs on what goes into our survival kits, what do we need, what do we not need. Ounces equal pounds.
Reconnaissance and surveillance missions allow recon teams to infiltrate clandestinely in an area past the front line of troops to gain information that might prove useful for later operations. This is Monty Bowen reporting.
The Military Report is brought to you by Stanley Nissan. Innovation for all.
Okay, Joe Cook is next with sports, and history was made in the interior last night. Found out all about it in sports.
Plus highlights from our volleyball openers. All that and more next with Joe.
Hello, Interior Alaska. Joe Cook here at Sports Seat for you this evening, bring you some Wednesday sports. Tuesday night at Lathrop Stadium, promising high school athletes were able to get a taste of a sport that's not only new to them, but to the interior high school scene. Here's more on last night's first ever high school flag football jamboree.
The interest has been building for a couple of years, and now the season is approaching. Girls flag football made its debut Tuesday in the form of a jamboree. This first game-like action was a little nerve-wracking for some of the girls.
I was kind of nervous at first. It was kind of scary and yet again exhilarating at the same time. I had great experience. Now I know how to just keep running, just don't look back.
North Pole, Lathrop, and Hutch participated in the jamboree. West Valley did not, but is still on deck to play this year. But last night was a bit surreal for some.
Wow, this is history in the making. This is pretty cool because this is first flag football event in Fairbanks. And I hope in years to come that it will be pretty successful and everything, and we'll get to Anchorage and be able to smack down some Anchorage people, but I can't describe it, but it's just pretty cool. It's just pretty neat to be a part of.
But before they can compete with the diamonds and services of the flag football world, these new players have to know what's going on. That's what the jamboree was for.
It is football. You are going to make a mistake. That's what we're here for.
We were kind of up in the air on a lot of rules, which way we were going to go. The rule book we're not following it exactly, and so we needed to meet here with the refs, and the girls needed to be out here and come out and see what it's really going to be like when they get out on the field. Games are just different than practice, and without that experience, then we're just kind of shooting in the dark.
For me, it was a lot of fun because it's the first time we've ever played flag football in Fairbanks, and I think we're going to go really far because next year we're going to be playing in Anchorage against Anchorage teams who have been doing it a lot longer. So we're going to have a lot of progress here in Fairbanks with flag football, with female players that play football. So I think it's going to turn out very well here.
A schedule for the first flag football season hasn't been released yet, but games are tentatively scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday nights beginning in September.
And last night at Joe T. Court, the Lathrop Malamutes took the court for the first time. Not the basketball team, but the volleyball team. They had their season opener in a non-conference game against the Delta Junction Huskies. Lathrop came out strong, 25-5 win in the opening set. Cheyenne Dilbert, the sophomore, set the tone with 8 kills and 8 aces to lead Lathrop. Nadine Velasco, she got in on the action as well with a nice spike right here. The Huskies showed some life in the second set, but the Mutes were able to hold them off for a 25-16 decision in that second set. Lathrop's Autumn Wierzinski notched 14 assists, and the Malamutes will go on to sweep Delta in their first game of the season, 25-5, 25-16, 25-10. Next up for Lathrop will be the Hutchinson Hawks at Hutch on Thursday. The West Valley Wolfpack volleyball team, they earned a sweep in their home opener. They bounced back from last week's loss to Monroe with the 25-12, 25-12, 25-9 win over the visiting Allison Ravens. Ruthie Hebert led the Wolfpack with 8 kills, and Nora Trotman, she registered 6 aces and 4 kills in her season debut. Next, the Wolfpack traveled to take on Palmer on Thursday before this weekend's Chugiak tournament. In another high school competition, the North Pole Patriots eked out a win over Lathrop in tennis. The Patriots won 3 of the 4 doubles matches, and Dana LeMay got a 6-2, 6-2 win over Lathrop's Amara Hackett. The West Valley Wolfpack won big over Hutchinson 6-1. The Wolfpack won every match except girls doubles. West Valley's Jarrett Lees had 2 matches and won both, 6-0, 6-0 over Austin Evans of Hutch and 6-0, 6-2 over Allison's John Rice. Teresa Sample, she also swept her girls singles match for the Wolfpack, 6-0, 6-0 over Cheyenne Martinez. And next up will be Monroe taking on West Valley on Thursday. Hutchinson is slated to face North Pole. Now, bringing up the rear for the fall prep sports schedule is high school swimming. The first swim meet of the season is this weekend. The Lathrop Invitational starts this Friday evening at 6 and continues Saturday morning at 11 a.m. at the Hammy Pool. Lathrop, Hutchinson, West Valley, North Pole, Monroe, and Palmer will be in the pool this weekend. The Lathrop Invitational starts a 2014 swimming schedule that will have 5 all-schools meets and 2 invitational meets outside of the interior, one in Bartlett and the other in Palmer. The season ends October 24th and 25th. The Region 6 championships start Halloween week, October 30th through November 1st. That's Thursday through Saturday. This year's host is the reigning MAC champion West Valley Wolfpack, who will look to defend another regional title. They've won 5 straight boys titles, and the girls team also won last year, so they'll try for another sweep. North Pole boys and girls teams were the 2013 Region 6 runner-ups. The state swimming and diving championships start November 7th at Bartlett High School. And that'll do it for sports tonight. Thanks for rocking with me for a little while. Mike Schultz is next with your full weather forecast, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey everyone, welcome back into the Fairbanks Evening News. Mike Schultz with you once again, taking a look at the weather. All in all, a pretty nice day across the interior. We looked at some showers around the area, but for the most part, they all stayed away, so it was all pretty good. Temperature wasn't as warm as we'd like to see, and it's going to get a little cooler too. We'll tell you about that in just a little bit. Our photograph tonight, this one's sent in by Mark Schilzans. Old Glory and Rainbow. Of course, there it is right there. Looking at this really nice shot there. Beautiful photograph. And as always, if you have a photograph to send, by all means, send it to photos@ktbf11.com. We'll share it with the rest of the audience. What's going on as far as the temperatures out the airport? 63, that's our high for the day. The low last night, 50. The record high, 84, set in 1981. Down to 28 degrees in 1933, and your sunrise and sunset not quite under the 15-hour barrier yet. We'll approach that tomorrow. And as far as what's going on across the rest of the state, area of low pressure sitting to the southwest part of the state, that's moving slowly to the east, and we have more moisture moving in from the west, and also a pretty good frontal band moving across from the Pacific Northwest, actually from the northwest. I'll tell you about that in just a little bit. What's going on across the rest of the state? Well, it's pretty quiet. A little rain activity around Kodiak Island and some showers over Juneau and Ketchikan. Otherwise, lots of sunshine everywhere else you look. Temperature is pretty comfortable, 58 degrees at Juneau, 62 degrees at Bethel, 57 in Nome, and even 53 degrees in Barrow. How about that? And over the lower 48 weather, again, we're looking at warm temperatures over the Pacific Northwest, 84 degrees at Seattle, 85 degrees in Billings, Montana, Phoenix, 103 degrees, and very warm across the central sections of Texas, Dallas at 95. Some showers moving across the Minneapolis area. Otherwise, mainly partly cloudy to mostly cloudy up and down the eastern half of the country, and another hot day in St. Louis, 95 degrees. On the satellite and radar, a little area of low pressure helping to spawn some afternoon showers and thunderstorms across the central plains, and a little activity across the Gulf of Mexico, and that's about it. But as far as temperatures go, it's going to continue quite warm over much of the southern half of the country. And there's a little tropical moisture coming in across the Gulf of Mexico, which will help the folks in Texas that have also been going through a drought. So that looks pretty good for them. Now, the overall new jet stream is not calling for a whole lot of change. Once again, staying way to the north, allowing all that humid and warm air to come up from the south and continuing dry out to the west. The drought continues for much of California. All right, well, back to Alaska for tomorrow. Here's what it looks like. On the northern sections, we're looking at rain and snow showers for Barrow. Thunderstorms are possible for the Fort Yukon area, and rain expected in Nome. Here in the interior, for the most part, looking at mostly cloudy skies at Fairbanks and Delta Junction. A few showers are possible around the Healy area. Heading over southeast on the sections of Alaska, mainly showers for Juneau and just mostly cloudy skies at Ketchikan. While over to the southwest, we're looking at partly cloudy skies at Cold Bay. Rain is likely in Bethel and also at Kodiak Island. And over the south central regions, scattered showers across the region, and looking at about 60 degrees for the Anchorage Bowl. Once again, time for our kids' weather, and this week we're talking with the kids from Ann Ween Elementary School. And tonight we have another young lady with us to ask me a question about weather.
Hi, I'm Cadence, and I am 10 years old. I attended Miss DeNoble's class at Ann Ween Elementary, and here's my question. Why does the weather change?
Well, Cadence, there are three main things that change the weather. There's temperature, there's clouds, and there's wind. And those are the main ingredients, and they're all wrapped up into the whole overall picture, and that's what changes the weather all across the world. Again, thanks for that question, and again, thanks to Mount McKinley Bank. And tomorrow night, the teacher will be here with a unique weather fact to share with us. All right, here's your forecast for the Fairbanks area. Looking at an alert for colder temperatures, gardeners, you're advised to prepare your crops and plants for a frost Friday night and possibly Saturday night, as temperatures will fall to the low 30s, even the low to mid 20s in the lowest lying areas. So keep that in mind, and you want to take precautions for that. Our forecast for tonight, scattered clouds with isolated showers, 47 degrees the overnight low. Tomorrow's forecast, looking at mostly cloudy skies and a little warmer, 65 degrees, then maybe some more showers by later on in the evening, continuing to Friday. And our 5-day outlook showing those showers on Friday. Then things look a lot better for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday into Labor Day. Looking at temperatures cooling down, as you can see, the overnight lows in the low to mid 30s. Overnight lows will raise a little bit, around 40 degrees. Also looking at no precipitation in the forecast. That's good news. And maybe they're going to see some pretty good snowfall in the Brooks Range. So interesting that we are definitely looking at maybe taking a turn for fall weather.
Well, now who's a wuss for starting up her pellet stove? I was just getting it ready, see?
30 degrees.
Well, Friday night
I have
for sure.
Mother Nature, she tells me.
Friday night for sure.
Jeez.
He's just over here.
Are you ready, Joe?
It's like every year, it's like it's just so different. Like from year to year, it's like, man, 30s like in August. Like it wasn't like that last August, was it?
We had quite the summer this summer, though. I must say it's been kind of not really a summer.
It has not been a summer, and we're like 5/10 away from setting the all-time record for the wettest summer in history.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And the forecast is calling for it to dry out, and we may not get that 5/10. Come on, let's get the 5/10. Let's set a record.
Just give it to us
Yeah,
already.
why not? We deserve it. We've earned that.
We've
Everybody spit all at once.
I was about to say,
Ew.
just spit on the ground as they walk around Fairbanks.
Well, there are
Don't
more showers.
do that.
There are more
He was
showers
just kidding.
tomorrow night and Friday.
Trying to get
we
a
might just
record.
The new spit challenge or something. That'll start circulating.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, if everybody does the ice bucket challenge, maybe
challenge.
we'll get some precipitation.
All right, that'll wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We are glad you could join us.
All right, NBC Nightly News coming up next. They'll have vaccinations amongst kids declining. Disease outbreaks are growing. That's coming up next.
You can join us here 6 days a week at 6 and 11 or online anytime at webster11.com.
That will do it from all of us here at the News Center, hoping for rain.
Don't spit.
We'll see you back here at 11. Good night.